All right, well, welcome to Active Reading Strategies. Don't just read, docent. So Karen Hogan is co-founder and middle school ELA teacher, and she's going to be sharing how it is to do active reading with Docent EDU for all subject areas. And for myself as a science teacher, I knew nothing about active reading up until a few years ago. I did my first active reading lessons with Docent EDU, and it was pretty exciting, and the students really enjoyed it. So, Karen, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so hey everyone, like Matt said, I'm Karen, I'm co-founder. I have a reading license and a master's of science in education. So, and I've taught middle school, high school, and the secondary or post-secondary level. So that's where my expertise is coming from with active reading here. Like Matt said, independent of whatever content area you are in, the Common Core standards, which most states have, really do emphasize the fact that students should not only be reading, they should be reading a lot. They should be reading a lot of nonfiction in every class, and they should be reading it actively and closely. CCSS likes to call it close reading as well. So what I thought I'd do is I'd just go through and make a Docent EDU lesson here and show you how you can use Docent EDU to get your students really engaged and actually thinking while they read and not just reading blindly. So I'm going to go ahead here and share my screen.
All right, and while you're doing that, Karen, I'm going to remind everybody that if you have a question, go ahead and ask it in the Q&A feature, show up on the side, and if you have trouble finding that, you can also post a comment for this Hangout on air on that main page that we linked to, and I'll see it there and share it with Karen.
Yeah, so one of the great things I think about Docent EDU is you are able to really take any article or any text on the web and turn it into a lesson. So I just like to go to the newspaper because our students, believe it or not, because of social media, actually sometimes kind of know what is going on in the world. And one of the things I really like to do to hook students is to bring something into my classroom that aligns with my curriculum area, but also, you know, really helps students to be reading and hook them into what they are currently talking about. So as I just scroll through some stuff here, I think if I'm, you know, maybe I'm in a science class, maybe I'm in a reading class, maybe I'm in a Phy-Ed class and I want my students to read in a Phy-Ed class. I think that this article, just glancing through it, could really help with that. You know, maybe I'm in a health class and I'm talking about self-esteem, but all these classes I can find this article, and especially, sorry, I'm from Minnesota here. That's why I grabbed the links thing. Whatever I'm doing, this is going to really hook my students, especially maybe girls, especially maybe people who are interested in basketball, people who are interested in sports as well. So all I'm going to do first is click on my Docent EDU extension. If you're on an iPad or an Android device, there's an app for either of those devices, or iPhones. We're a pretty device agnostic company, which is great, so you don't have to worry about what device your students have. So as you can see, after I clicked on my extension, a toolbar popped up right here. So that toolbar is what I'm going to use as a teacher to make this into an active reading lesson. So whether you know it or not, there's separate parts of reading when someone reads something. One of the first things that most people know about is vocabulary. So there's some cool things that you can do with Docent EDU for vocabulary. The first thing that I usually do is I usually scan through the article. Obviously, you just saw me pick this, so I haven't done this, but let's pretend. I scan through the article and find some vocabulary words that I think are important for my students to learn. And what I usually do first is I highlight those. So I click on the highlighter tool over here on the Docent EDU toolbar, click on the vocabulary word. As you can see, my vocabulary word is now highlighted. If I click on it again, I can click a plus and I can leave a comment. So this is completely up to you, but I think one of the great things to do is as a comment, you can either leave the definition or you can leave some other insight that you want for that. I'm going to leave the definition in some student-friendly language. And as you can see, now my students can click on that and see the definition. Another really great thing that you can do for vocabulary is have students go through and look at the academic vocabulary. There's some really great websites out there that you could just copy paste this whole article into the website, and it'll give you a list of academic vocabulary, and you can go through and highlight that academic vocabulary. So as you saw, I highlighted elite. I think fortitude is something my students aren't going to know. I think tenured is a maybe, leave a comment here. Long time, okay? Another fun thing that Docent.edu allows you to do is add emojis with those. And so I'm actually really not super good at emojis. So I don't know if there's like a person with like gray hair oh, there we go. Okay, so a gray hair person for tenured, and now you can see that it says long time is the definition with an emoji of a person for gray hair. So that's the first step that I would do for vocabulary for my students. The next step that I really like to do is embed some interactive vocabulary for my students. There's a really great website called Quizlet.com. And what Quizlet does, you make vocabulary sets with Quizlet. So what I would do, I would create a study set. Once I've gone through my article, highlighted what I've wanted to highlight for vocabulary, I would go to Quizlet and I'd create a study set. Now, there's lots of study sets already created on Quizlet, but we're going to pretend here that we're making one for this article. So I had the word elite. I'm going to say that it's English. I had the word elite. I had the word fortitude. I had the word tenured. Let's pick a couple different words here just really quickly. Defiance and feisty. So I'm going to say defiance and feisty. What's great about Quizlet is that it will also give you definitions, so you don't even have to find the definitions. And then Quizlet has a bunch of, so once I say this, I'm going to say basketball, name it here, basketball article vocabulary. Click create. Quizlet has a bunch of really awesome games and stuff that students can play and tests a lot of really cool stuff that really is helpful to them, that makes the vocabulary interactive. We all know that one of the most important things for learning vocabulary is that it has to be in context. And what greater way to have it right here in the article. We have it highlighted, we have definitions, but how are my students going to actively be interacting with that vocabulary, right? That's where Quizlet comes in here. I'm going to click on this more. I'm going to click on embed. I'm going to pick one of these that I want to embed here back in my article, and I just copy that embed code so you don't have to know any HTML at all. And then I'm going to decide where I want that vocabulary to be. I'm going to click on this sticky note symbol over here on the left-hand side on my Docent.edu toolbar. And what this allows me to do, I can hover over anything, and wherever it turns yellow, that's where I can decide to embed my vocabulary. So I'm going to click up here, and you can see it gives you the sticky note right here. So all that I have to do is click paste. All I did was paste, and now my vocabulary that is interactive is right here in my actual article. I can even play a game with my vocabulary right here in the article. How awesome, right? Not only is it, you know, super active, but it's in context for my vocabulary too. Super great. So that's what I do from the teacher's point of view for vocabulary. The next thing that is really important, I think, for reading and for active reading, especially for differentiation, you know, we all have students who maybe are reluctant readers. Maybe we have students who don't have a reading level that's high enough. One thing you can do is you know, put some audio of you reading in the article. Now, depending on the type of article you use or the text you are using, there might already be audio available. There might already be a YouTube audio of the book you are reading. If you're using an article from a radio website, they may already have the audio up at the top. As you can see, this is a newspaper. It doesn't have the audio. So there's a lot of different websites that allow you to record just simple clips of yourself talking. One of my favorite here, because it's just so easy, is called clip.it, so clip.it. And all you have to do is click this upload a clip here, click record, and then you're going to click this big button and you can record your voice. And what I do is I go to the article and I record myself talking through the article. So let me just show you a quick example here. So I just click record. Scoggins. At 34, Lynx star Lindsay Whalen improves with age. The former Hutchinson and Gopher star's competitive spirit burns white hot, etc., etc., etc. Read through the whole article. I click stop, and I just click upload here. So the reason that fluency is so important is fluency is what allows students to read. It means how they're reading an article. You know, it means that they have really great inflection and they're reading without stopping. The faster and the more fluent someone can read, the more they're going to be able to understand, which is our goal. Because if they can't understand it, then they won't be answering our questions. So then it just says give a title. So I might say links, article. I can enter a description if I want. I can change the category. I click save. If you sign up and log in, it does save these all for you. So once again, I just find this embed here and I copy the embed. I'm going to go back to my article here. Maybe I want this after my vocabulary, let's say. And I get this little sticky note. So maybe I want to give a few directions. While you are reading the article, if your teacher has told you to listen along to the audio, please listen along to the audio. And I click paste, and now we have my voice. So I just click record. Scoggins at 34. We have my voice right in the article. So like I said, that's really great to differentiate for students who aren't at a reading level where they'd be able to read your text, or it's really great for students who have fluency issues. And if you are unsure of what your students' reading levels are, or if any of them have fluency issues, you know, just talk to their English teacher, and I'm sure they'd be able to help you with that. So that's the second part of, you know, setting my students up for success while reading here, is that fluency. So we've covered vocabulary and we've covered fluency. The next really great thing that I do for my students for active reading is to put questions in the article. Now we all know that, you know, we grew up with articles with, you know, the questions at the end. That's not what we want to do. And we also grew up reading things, you know, that, you know, you read a story and it asks, what color was someone's t-shirt? That's not a very great question, nor is it something that really makes me want to read or actually makes me think while I'm reading. So what's really great about Docent.edu is it lets you put a question and several types of questions anywhere in the article. So I just click on the little question symbol over here on the left-hand side. And as you can see, just like it did with the sticky notes, everything that turns yellow, I can put a question after that. So perhaps I want to put a question right here after it says she hates excuses. And I want to really make my students think, right? I want to have them think at a higher level, level 3 as much as I can. I also want them to, the questions to be really based on what they're reading and use textual evidence, have them use textual evidence as much as possible. So I'm going to put a question here. I'm going to say, after reading the above part of the article, predict what type of person Lindsay, spell her name right here, Lindsay Whalen is. You find a quote as your evidence as well. Please explain your answer. And what I can do is I can change the points. If I don't want it to be 10 points, I can make it 20 points. I can make it 1 point. I can make it 0 points. I'm just going to make this 5. Then I click create. And as you can see, my students now have my question right after reading. So they're going to read a few paragraphs. They're going to see a question. They're going to be asked a higher level question. They're predicting here. They're reading something and asking a question right afterwards, you know, to get that comprehension. They're asked for textual evidence and they're asked to explain their answer. And then students just type right here. So another type of question, you know, that's really great is a multiple choice question. So one of the things that I can do when I'm asking a question is I can ask a multiple choice question. It's just the same almost as writing another type of question. Once again, you can see here they've read, you know, 2 paragraphs, have a question. Read 4 paragraphs, have a question. They're really thinking while they're reading. They're just not reading this whole long thing without stopping and digesting, which is one of the most important things about reading. Good readers always think about what they have read. And Docent.edu, putting the questions in there really allows students to do that better. So I'm going to create a question. Let's see here. Read the sentence starting with the word her in the above paragraph. What type of literary device is it? Now, I know that question isn't great for all type of content areas, but I am an English teacher and I'm just trying to giving you examples here. So I do want this to be a multiple choice question. So all I do after I click, you saw I clicked the save button. All I do then is start typing in the possible answers, just like I was a student answering it. So I'm going to say metaphor, and then I click enter, and it's created the choice. Metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia, okay? And if anyone knows, it is a simile. So I just mark that as correct. So what my students are going to see, they are going to see the question, they're going to see the choices. And when they answer, what's really great about the multiple choice is it gives them immediate feedback. If they pick metaphor, for example, it's going to knock their points down, 3.3 points, because I think we made it 10 points, yep, and there were 3 questions. And it'll show them they got it wrong, but it won't show them the correct answer yet, and they won't lose all their points. So they'll be able to go back, read again, and then pick the correct answer. So that's another great way of doing it. So we have the open-ended questions, and we have the multiple choice questions that give immediate feedback. Another type of questioning device that I really love with Docent.edu is the discussions. So right here, I'm just going to click on the little discussion icon, and I'm going to hover. Once again, I can hover wherever I want to put a discussion. I like to start off articles with discussions. I like to have them at the end. I like to have them in the middle. It really keeps my students, like the whole point of this, right, is that my students are thinking while they are reading. So not only now are they just thinking for the questions, now they can have a live discussion with their classmates while they are reading this. So I'm going to create a discussion question here. It says that she didn't celebrate. Would you have skipped, skipped celebrating after such an important milestone in your career? Explain your reasoning. So once again, I have a really great question. They have to, take the text. They have to think about it. They're going to have to apply it to themselves, and they're going to have to explain. So I just click create. You do see here that there's no point system for discussions. Discussions aren't graded because we really just want to encourage our students to be discussing with each other. And I click create there, and then my students can respond right here. What's super great about this is students will see the responses live update. So if I'm writing right here and then somebody, 3 states away, let's say if I'm in an online course or, at the next desk, writes a discussion response in here, it'll live populate without the student having to refresh the discussion or anything like that. So students can write their answers here and write back and forth to each other. You can even, in your question, you can say, you must reply to so many people or something like that in your directions as well. One of the things I like to do too in the discussions is kind of start it off as a teacher, depending on the types of students, you have in your class, whether they'd be willing to start a discussion or not. So I would say, I would have celebrated for sure. Everyone deserves a night off now and then. So you can see that it is right there, that my response, and then my students can respond to me, they can respond to each other. As the teacher, I'm also able, once I've assigned it to classes, to filter, if I've assigned this to more than one class, to filter through which classes have done those discussions. I can also ban discussion responses as a teacher if students haven't discussed appropriately. So just to review, we have vocabulary, interactive vocabulary, where students can work with it themselves, a version of, an audio of me reading the article. We have a question, an open-ended question. We have a multiple choice question that gives the students immediate feedback, and we have a live class discussion to get students interacting with the text even more and get them interacting with each other even more. One of the other things that I wanted to show you here is dependent upon what type of school you are and teacher you are. If you're an AP teacher or an IB teacher or an AVID teacher, sometimes the Star Tribune likes to refresh, but that's no big deal. Let me show you. All you got to do here is click your Docent.edu icon again, and everything auto saves, so it's no big deal. You can see that everything just popped right back up, so not a big deal. That's the same for students. I guess on a side note, if anything ever happens, their answers will auto save, so it won't be a big deal for them, and everything will be right there. So different types, different curriculum have different active reading protocols, I guess you would say. I'm at an AVID school, and it has a lot of very specific things that it wants students to do. What the great thing about Docent.edu is that students will have a very similar toolbar here. They will have the highlight tool and the sticky note tool. So I can give directions to my students with what I want them to do. So let's say up at the top here, I want to give my students some directions for how they are actively annotating the text. So I want to say, while you read, do the following. Highlight any vocabulary words you don't know. Leave a comment with the definition. So very simple. I can have my students right there start interacting with the text. I could also have my students, maybe I want them to leave emojis. After every paragraph, highlight the last word, then leave a comment in the form of an emoji, which shows your emotional reaction to the paragraph. How fun, right? It's kind of like a summary, but it's an emoji. I could also say, if I maybe some active reading strategies want people to summarize every single paragraph. After each paragraph, write a 1-sentence summary by inserting a sticky note. And then my students can insert a sticky note and do that as well. Lastly, what's super cool is students, since they have the sticky notes, can embed things as well. So maybe I want them to make their own vocabulary sets on Quizlet. So I could say at the end of the article, embed a vocabulary set you've made on Quizlet. So my students then are not only going to be listening, working with the vocabulary, answering my questions, discussing with each other, they're also going to be annotating the text like this as well. So the next step that I'm going to do, I'm just going to assign this to my students. I'm just going to click right here on the DocenEDU symbol, assign it to my students. I'm going to assign it to my demo class here. And as you can see, you can share to Google Classroom. Let me assign it to a class that can share to Classroom. I just click share to Google Classroom, and it brings me to this, and I can just share it to a class. I can make it an assignment. And my classroom just needs to think a little bit. I just click assign, and now my students are able to work on their DocenEDU assignment. So let's see from a student's point of view what this looks like. So I'm going to sign out here of my, oh, my computer's being a little weird. Okay, I'm going to sign out here of my DocenEDU account, sign in with another account, hopefully, and show you what it looks here. So you can see as a student here now, I have a dashboard, and I can see all the assignments that have been sent to me. And here's the one that just got assigned to me. So I'm going to click on it here now as a student, and it is going to load. My internet is a tidge slow because we do have a thunderstorm that is going on in the area. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing here. Sorry about that. So as you saw, it's super easy as a student to organize the work that you're doing as well, because of everything. Oh, what's going on here? Uh-oh. Mine is not working. Well, if you bear with me really fast, I just gotta uninstall my DocenEDU and install it again, which is fine. It just needed updating. But I guess this is a good time to just show you how you can install DocenEDU. So I'm just pretending I'm a student right now, or you can be a teacher. You just go to docenedu.com, sign up and get the extension. You just sign up. It's going to ask you to install the extension. It just walks you right through it. It's super easy, not a big deal at all. I just need to be as a student right here. Okay, now we can get back to my article. If my internet wants to load. Well, something is going on with my computer right now that I don't know what's going on. But let me show you what it can look like as a teacher here, once students have annotated their work, I do have some work that my students have annotated. Let me get back to my other account. So I did have some students work on annotating some things this year. One of the things they worked on annotating was the story, The Telltale Heart, for active reading. So you can see the lesson they did here. They had a question. They had an Edpuzzle video that they watched. They had their interactive vocabulary. And then I told them here at the beginning what I wanted them to do for their interactive reading part. I wanted them to highlight the things that they thought created tension, mood, and foreshadowing. But independent of what content area you are in, you could tell them to highlight different things as well. The last thing that I then did is, as a student, I can see or as a teacher then, I can see what my students have done. So I just click on this little symbol here. Once my students have done something, this little symbol is going to pop up. And I can choose the student, and I can go through and see if they have done what I have wanted them to do. So let's see what she did. So I'm just going to click on her name. And then you can see now in the green is what my student has done. And if there's this little thing around it, look, she wrote mood, tension. So you can see, I can see not only the answers that, but I can see what she has done in the article, and if she actively read following my directions. And students can also put those emojis in there as well. So that's really a really awesome thing I like as a teacher, that I can see that. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. And we got a question.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so Stephanie asked a great question of, is there any research that Docent.edu has done, or anyone else, that supports the product? Looks amazing. I'd like to present it to my administration as a tool to purchase this school year. So Karen, I'm gonna let you talk about some of the research, because you're definitely the crazy one on the research and the best practices. But just in general, Stephanie, no, we haven't done any official efficacy studies on Docent.edu. We've done a number of pilots, including one with the iZone program in New York City. We did a 1 semester pilot with the school out there.
Which there's a video on our YouTube channel that goes through how effective it was for them, especially their reluctant readers. Right.
Yeah. And they did collect some information. There isn't a report yet from them, which we should check on that again, because I would think it'd be done by now. But no, a lot of the developments. So Karen, I'll let you kind of talk about some of the research and the background information that you already knew from
So Stephanie, I think what you would have to present to your administration isn't necessarily us as a tool and the research behind us as a tool. It would be the research behind what you specifically wanted to do as a teacher with it. So if you as a teacher really want to encourage nonfiction reading in your class, there's a huge standard for Common Core for every single content area, main content areas, about reading nonfiction. And so you could present that. If you're looking for different types of how students should be reading, like I said, AP classes have a specific way that students have to be reading. AVID, advancement via individual determination is what I think that's called, and that's in all 50 states. They have very specific ways that they want active reading to be done as well. And as far as, I don't have things right off the top of my head, but if I were to just go to Google Scholar really quickly, I know that if I could type in active reading research, there would be a lot of data based on active reading research. In addition, I think if you presented this to your administration as a way to get all teachers, and especially you or whoever's going to have it, ways for students to really be working easily with and teachers to be asking higher level thinking questions. You know, all educational research out there right now is just that the more you ask higher level questions, the more frequently and the better you do this, the more able your students are going to be to think critically and to comprehend. So as far as that, I would say you would need to think about how the ways are that you're going to be using this in your class, and then propose that to your administration. I know specifically for my school that I'm currently at, we use it to get our students to be reading more nonfiction, and for the AVID program. So when we present it to our administration for subscriptions, we did present it in that form, and then the data about how AVID and their system of reading helps, and then the data for nonfiction, and then how the Common Core state standards do say that students need to be reading nonfiction more often. So I hope that answers your question there, Stephanie. Yeah, so I've gone through quite a bit of everything that I was planning on going through. I just really did focus on reading tonight. You can totally look on our YouTube channel. That I have lots more videos about reading. I have some short, quick videos about vocabulary, some short, quick videos about active reading, and we do have videos for every single content area as well. So if you're not quite sure how it's going to work for active reading for you, you can look at those, and those will be helpful too. So I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add, Matt.
Just that we've got a lot of different webinars that are coming up. Thursday, I think this Thursday, is tab smashing, which you got into a little bit, Karen. Basically, it's going to be of all the different types of tools that you can embed into Docent EDU that can really remix the entire way that you're approaching your lessons. So it's pretty fun. And we've got a whole series of other ones. I'll post a link in the comment section, again, linking back to those. And anybody that's out there, you can sign up for a free trial at docentedu.com. And it's just limited to 5 docents at one time. So make 5, delete those, and go ahead and create some more. And anybody has questions, you can email us. I'm just matt@docentedu.com, or Karen or Ben@docentedu.com. And we're always happy to do any other kind of customized trainings people have. Just simply send us an email. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.